What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Gino Gardner, affectionately known as The Real Gino Gardner on social media, y'all. Thank y'all for joining us another podcast episode where we can interact with Welcome to the Madman Podcast, where we talk about marriage, apologetics, and discipleship. And I'm so excited to have your presence, just being a part of this journey, y'all. And thank you so much. If you've come back, this is your second time or third or what have you, you've come back to visit us again. Thank you for exploring and journeying life with us. If this is something that you feel will benefit you or enhance your life and just further your journey, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. We'd love to stay connected with you. And don't be scared to leave a comment in the comments section so we can interact and just have some good conversation, y'all. So I'm excited about this one. No, I'm not really, but it's I'm just excited to be on the podcast one more time. We're talking about fear, and fear is not an easy conversation for some, but it's a real one. It's a real conversation. I'm gonna start off with this quote because I got some real conversationalists, man, that are really behind the scenes. They've been chopping it up on fear, man, before I got on the mic, and so I'm trying to bring them to the front so we can go ahead and have a real good hot one. I'm gonna leave y'all with this quote, man, from my guy, General Patton. And this is a quote that I followed for many years. I found it many years ago. I ain't gonna say followed it, but it's something that really stood out to me. This is what General Patton says. If y'all remember him in World War II, he was one of our most, if you will, one of the toughest generals, straightforward generals that the U.S. Army has ever had. All right, he says this: all men, and I quote from General Patton, all men are afraid in battle. The coward is the one who lets his fear overcome his sense of duty. Duty is the essence of manhood. Okay, stop it. Patton, stop it. Stop it. All men are afraid in battle. So let's clear up something. Y'all know I'm a veteran. My father is a Vietnam vet. I'm third generation military. My grandfather was in the Navy, World War II. My father's a Vietnam vet infantry. And I, too, served 22 years in the United States Army, retired. And I deployed to Iraq in a combat zone. My father deployed to Vietnam. Whereas my father was infantry, I was administrative. So I worked human resources while I deployed to Iraq. And we had some sketchy moments, but nothing that was me directly involved in a firefight, things of that nature. Praise be to God. But my wife also deployed to Iraq in 2003, of which her experience was totally opposite of mine. So she has some combat stories that'll really just knock you off your feet. So shout out to Pastor Corene once again. PC, my love, Corene. One day we'll get her on the podcast. She could share her story about her time. But let's look at what Patton said. He says that all men are afraid of battle. They fear it. They're afraid in battle. This is not, people ask me all the time, you deployed to Iraq? How did that make you, man, you weren't scared? I said, I absolutely was. But see, people equate scared with not going. If you're scared, you don't go. Humanity has always been, the house haunted, don't go in the house. It's a fight going on, stay away from it. They shooting bombs, mortars, and rockets and firing down the road with IEDs. Go to it. Who does that? You think I wasn't scared? I had duty, is what Patton says, is what makes you a man. When you understand that the duty is bigger than your fear. When I understand that protecting my kids, my family, is my duty, I don't care how big that dude is that walk in the house. I don't care if he armed and I'm not. My duty is to protect them. So what Patton is alluding to is that the coward doesn't have a sense of duty. And if the coward doesn't have a sense of duty, he's not a man. I'll preach on Sunday. This is General Patton. I'm not talking about scripture. It's General Patton talking about manhood. So me deploying to Iraq, everybody asked me, was you weren't scared? Absolutely, I was scared. But duty called. And because I love the United States of America and the United States Army so much, I did 22 years. I had to love it. That I knew that when I had to go, I had to go. It was embedded in my DNA that when it's time to deploy, it's time to protect and serve. So fear was in me, but duty was bigger. He was a little bit louder. I fed duty more than I fed fear. So fear is a real thing, y'all. How you feel about it? How y'all feel about fear, man? Has fear caused you to not move, to not pursue your dreams, to give up? Fear is a beast. Fear is a beast. But I want to proclaim duty. What's your duty on this earth? You know, you may not be a father, you may not be married, but you have an obligation to society. What is that obligation? What's your duty? Because if you don't know your duty, you always walk as a coward. You'll live as one. You won't know your duty. You don't know your duty. My father used to police up our corners, man. Lived in, shout out to Maywood. Right, Maywood is on the west suburb of the west side of Chicago, right? It was hood now. It was hood. It was gang banging and selling drugs, baby. But my father, when he would look at our apartment, when we lived in an apartment, 3 flat, baby. He was on the top floor. He'd look out the window and see these dudes on the corner. My father would police that, go down there and say, hey, y'all get off the corner. This is my apartment. Y'all don't own this. My father owned that building. Y'all little suckers just right here politicking, selling drugs like y'all run the street. My father bought cash dollar for that building. So he had a duty to police, to keep clean so little Gino could go outside and ride his bike with his friends. My sister could jump rope with her girls. He had a duty. So you may not be a soldier, you may not be a paramedic, you may not be some doctor in the ER room or a lawyer, a defense attorney, or a PD, a public defender. You may not do that, but what's your duty? What's your duty? Because duty overcomes fear. Duty eats fear for lunch. I'm scared. I am too. But I ain't going to not do it because I know it's my duty. That's so loaded, man. I so much going through my mind right now. So much going through my mind about duty. But why are you fearful, though?
I think most people are probably fearful, maybe because of failure and the unknown. The unknown is super big, and when it comes to fear, they just don't know whether they're gonna be able to become successful in this next venture, or they don't know whether this business deal is gonna be able to close, or whatever the case may be. They're just afraid of that unknown. They fear of not knowing if they'll make it back from what they're about to go try to do. You know what I mean? I think the unknown is one of the biggest things in fear. You just don't know what's gonna be on the other side of you trying to do what you're trying to do right now.
Mm. Let me ask you this question for all y'all listening. You came in here this afternoon, that chair that you're sitting in. Did you inspect that chair first before you sat down? You know, flip it upside down, check the legs, check the screws, make sure the screws were tightly jointed and bolted together before you sat down in it. Okay, how about this? When you stepped out of the house this morning before you went to school, went to work, baby, because you duty-minded, did you check the hood? Did you open the hood of the car, check the oil, and check the battery cables to make sure that the cables were fully connected before you cranked that engine? You just got in and started it up. What I'm alluding to is trust. You thought I was finna say something else, didn't you? Okay. We trust a lot of unknown things because it's been what? Proven to work. You go to your house, unless you ain't pay that electric, what they say, the light bill, you hit that switch, you know, unless the bulb blown, that light's gonna cut on. You don't go straight to the box, the electrical box, and say, let me make sure the breakers, everything is switched to the right. No, you just hit the switch. You don't go to the source that could call. You don't start to inspect. You trust. What duty boils down to is trusting the men, the women, and the systems that you're connected to. In the Army, we're trusted to look left and right to that battle buddy. That's what we call him. That, hey, that dude got my back. When I run out of ammunition, I know he's going to be able to hit the target. The Army has taught me a lot about trust, but less about fear. That's why many soldiers don't mind deploying, because they teach us how to trust each other. So I guess the moral of the story, in essence, that General Patton is talking to manhood is that manhood comes with trusting other men. Womanhood comes with trusting other women. Other than that, you're going to live in fear of the unknown, because you've never tried to trust. You need to try to trust. Now, trust is a earned thing. I know you don't want to put your trust in all things, right? Do you buy eggs without inspecting the carton? Some people do. I don't. You know why? You know why? My mama taught me to, before you buy eggs as a little dude, she said, inspect the carton. I said, Mom, what you doing? She just put her hand and just rolled the egg just to make sure it ain't cracked. To this day, I stand before you as a 42-year-old man that before I buy a carton of eggs, I open it up and I spin each egg. Why? To make sure it's not cracked. Why? Because I don't want to buy one egg that's cracked. I'm putting my money into it. I want everything to work for me. So though I could believe that all those eggs aren't cracked, there's not a probable thing that says it will be. So what do? I inspect it. And trust is earned. But what those eggs have proven to me, that every now and again I get cracked eggs. So I got to keep checking them. That's what relationships too. We won't trust because we've gotten so many broken ones. You've had so many bad relationships, you don't know what to. You understand what I'm saying? You always checking the carton, baby, because you ain't got the right. There's a trust factor because you've gotten so many cracked eggs that you can't trust the ones that you have. And there is a carton waiting for you, baby. Let me talk to you right now. That ain't cracked. Every egg ready to go upon purchase. But at some point, you're going to have to trust. So where I struggle with cracked eggs, I don't struggle with deploying to Iraq. If they called me today and said, sir, we need you, I'm just going to talk to my wife and say, are you okay with it? We need you in Iraq or Afghanistan to do this. I'm going to talk to my wife. I'm not going to run from it. I'm a pastor. I love pastoring. Love my church. But I'm more concerned about duty. And I understand that my duty as a pastor is powerful. But my call is to the nation. I look at duty and I hold it to the highest esteem. So what are you afraid of? What are you fearful of? Another bad relationship. You've had so many of them, baby. You're sick and tired of it, and you don't want to give it a try. We don't want to give it another shot. The last one was bad. The one before that it was the hair, it was the breath, it was the attitude, it was this, it's all the cracked eggs in that carton. And at a certain point, you're just like, I'm just done buying eggs. Maybe give me a liquid bag, give me the liquid carton, because the cracked ones, I'm wasting my money on. What are we fearing for, man? How do we learn to trust? What General Patton was alluding to in this quote is trust. I became a better man when I learned how to trust men. And more so when I learned how to trust women. And then more so when I learned how to trust the fact that I could not be trusted. Y'all thought I was finna come. I'm Mr. Perfect. Y'all watch wrestling? I love Mr. Perfect. Y'all like watch WCW, WW, and Mr. I wish my wife was. Boy, I love Mr. Perfect, baby. He had that blue. He come out there headlong. Mr. Perfect was bad, baby. Woo! But they wanted Perfect Patrick. I'm not him. I got skeletons in my closet, and my wife knows about those skeletons. When men get close to me, they begin to trust me because I give them my skeletons. And I only get those skeletons to men that I feel are worthy of it. You understand? Everybody don't need to hear the story because they're going to take the story and what they're going to do. Man, running through the mud. They're going to run that story right through the mud and say, see, that's why you can't trust her. That's why I don't trust women. What? Have you ever heard women say this, Desi? I ain't got no woman friends. What is that? When I used to hear women say that, I don't have women friends, just men. That's two things I'm thinking. Either, or what's your problem with women? They're not that bad, not all. Just like men. All men ain't dogs. All men ain't bad men. Where'd that come from? I ain't got no women friends. What is that? Did a woman do it to you? Did it make you break trust? What broke you? What made you not believe in women? I wrestle with that, man. I wrestle with that. But we're fearful. We're fearful because of the unknown, as you stated. Have you seen Jesus? Seen him face to face? Have you felt his presence? Okay. Have you ever heard of those scenarios that a man or woman was so impactful, but you can feel the presence that they've left behind? Well, this is what I mean. My father had a presence that even when my father wasn't there, he was there. That's how much presence he left. Like I can hear him when I didn't take out the trash. I could hear my father when I didn't shovel the snow after school. I shoveled snow my whole life, all 18 years. We had 6-7 months of winter in Chicago. We shoveled. I didn't have no snowblower. It was one in the garage broke. I was the snowblower. I could hear its presence. And I think that when people encounter Jesus for real, that presence speaks when no man or woman does. But when you feel his presence, man, you're not fearful of him. He draws you in and says that I am he. Right? He says that I am he. So why you don't like, why is it just, I don't trust men. I don't trust women. What are you scared of?
Maybe it's a lot of cracked eggs, you know. All the other ones, you know.
Use my analogy.
A lot of cracked eggs. You know, they just felt like all the ones before them just been cracked and tainted. Something's wrong with this one. Something's wrong with this one. I'm just done with the eggs now. Give me a carton, like you said. I'm done with those. Maybe I need to try something different now. So, you know, repetition creates habit, you know. So they feel like this is the new normal. All of them going to be like this, so I just can't. Maybe I just stop dealing with them altogether because of fear that it's going to continue being the same.
So what's your duty then? You know, I ask that question, what are you called to? What are you called to? What's your duty? What's your calling? Patton said that, you know, every man's fearful when they go into battle. But a coward runs from his duty. A coward runs from his duty. But duty, when you stand in the face of it, produces manhood. What are you scared of? Like, what are we scared of in relationships? Why isn't relationships so hard to have now? Where that come from? Why are relationships so hard? And I don't mean that male and woman. I mean that in the sense man to man. Like me and you, we get down. I ain't gonna lie, Jerry, we get down. But why do people, why is it so, I mean, help me. Why is it so difficult to have relationships these days? What was it?
I think it's,
What was the root of it?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, man. I don't know, they say today, a lot of people have been saying that these days, this is one of the loneliest generations as well. Even though we can be around people and we're around a lot of people physically, everybody still feels so alone.
Wow.
So I feel like they can't connect with others because, oh, this person might not be like me or they may not like me. So they don't even try to make that connection or close that gap.
I'm through with you. That was so deep. You know what that did to me? It hit my heart and it made me think about one of the biggest disconnectors of the human experience. You can guess it. Social media. Where it has been a blessing, it has also been a curse. I would rather inbox you and got your number than to call you and ask you the same question. You know, I get the simplicity. Y'all wait on it. Y'all wait on it. I get the simplicity of a text message. You at work today? No, I'm off. I get that. I'm done. But some of these text messages was a phone call. Amen, lights. Some of these text messages should have been you picking up that. Let me talk. Some of these inboxes should have been a phone call. Or, if we really gonna be dutiful and men, a face-to-face. But what is social media? Emojis? I'm walking now. Text messaging has given us a scapegoat to mask and hide behind the real matter of the fact of the matter is that I need to have a conversation with you, man to man, woman to woman. Social media has made it easy for me to make me look like the victim. I'm the one that's been done wrong. And then what it does is that it applauds the victimization and get people commenting on what they fully don't know, only know your side of the story. Baby, it's 2, 3, 4 versions to it. But let me share this with you. There's only one truth. You and I both see it, but one of us could be telling a lie. Why do two stories vary when you saw the same thing? Vantage point, viewpoint, right? Look at the Gospels, the synoptic Gospels. Everybody always argue why they don't say what they said in Matthew, what he said in Mark. Vantage point. Perspective. Mark was closer to Peter than Matthew was. Matthew was closer to Jesus than Peter was. You got dynamics that people don't know. And I mean this. Peter was really close to Mark. The book of Mark and Peter, okay, let me not. But those dynamics, look at this, for example. If you had a crime scene, and you got to pull people over and ask them what happened. What would you feel like if they all told you the same story?
Me personally, I would feel like that's nearer to the truth than anything because everybody has the same perspective on it. Mm-hmm. So I would feel like that's closer to the truth.
If everybody said the same thing, would you ever consider that they got together and compiled and conglomerated a story to give to the police? Would you ever consider that?
Yes,
okay.
I would. That's why I said it would be closer to the truth because that you never know. People can do that all the time. So, but yeah, I mean that's always that possibility too. So yeah.
Detectives have argued that they would rather hear different stories. It's more realistic to the truth. Because if me, you, and Desi were at a crime scene and a detective came up on the scene and we said the same exact thing, they would be skeptical of what was true. Because they would assume that me, you, and Desi got together and made a story and a narrative to pitch to the detective, versus we never saw each other. We saw the scene, separate of each other, come together to the police and give him 3 different stories. They would believe that more so than anything. And that's what the Gospels produce. They produce narratives that were from different vantage points with people that was on the scene with different stories. People say that ain't true then. If it's different, why wouldn't it be? Detectives would argue for the truth. Because what you saw and what I saw were 2 different stories. But if I start to compile stories with the people around me, all the text would be what we need 4 Gospels for. We need 1 text. We all saying the same thing. So the truth is important, but only one person really possesses. If there's only one truth, right? And I think that people struggle with like telling their truth, man. Yo, tell your truth, fam. You were abused as a child, man, and it's not easy. It's not easy to talk about the fact that my father he was a provider, but he wasn't there. I tell my story. My mother was everything to me. My mother kept me in the church. She helped me explore who I was. She questioned me. She made sure my room was clean. She did the things that my father did. My father didn't even show up for my baseball practices. My mother did that. He would sign me up. She would take me to him. I made traveling all-stars. Who took me? My mother. I played baseball, y'all. And I don't beat him over the head and disconfigure him because of that. I'm saying my dynamic and my truth is that my mother was there. My father provided. So when I began to become a man, my truth became this: I'm going to be there and provide. Well, my daughter pick up the phone and call me at the splick of a lick. Daddy, let me talk to you. She know what her daddy does. She know who her daddy is. That's my duty. That's my duty. And I ain't scared of it. Hit us with it. Go ahead. Hit us with it.
And everything that you're saying is just so beautiful, man, because, I got a daughter as well. So it's just, she's younger right now. But as she gets older, I'm going to understand what that means. Like you said, this discipleship right here, you letting me know how it is, me being open to what you're saying. It feels good to be able to take on that duty in the future and just fulfill it. Sometimes it might be some fear that plays into having a daughter and raising a daughter, but my duty is going to overcome that. So I'll always do what I need to do.
A coward runs from responsibility. A coward runs from his responsibility. It's easy for me to leave my kids and let their moms figure it out. Can do that easy. Make a baby and leave. Oh, wow. Oh. A man understands and accepts his duty. I'm here to build these kids, raise it. I'm their father. Guess what? Even if me and the mama don't get along, guess what you are? You're still that child's father. Some men are cowardly saying, no, me and the mama don't get along. I ain't even going by there. Whoa, fam, them your babies. What are we saying? What are we teaching? Because now your kids grow up saying, well, this is what we do. We run, we tuck tail and run from responsibility. And that's why you see the gender roles explicitly changing the way they do. Because we don't teach duty, responsibility, honor, integrity, and respect and loyalty. Shout out to the Army, because those are the 7 Army core values. Shout out to Hua, all my soldiers. Those are our values in the Army. But those are powerful, profound truths for humanity. They instilled that in me in the Army. But for life, baby, I live, die, and breathe those values. If I'm going to be a better human to society, I've got to live by respect. I give it. I respect it. I would hope that people would give it back. Loyalty, duty, discipline, personal courage, selfless service, and integrity, man, honor. But y'all, we got to do it. So anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed yourself, man. Hope y'all enjoyed yourself. Again, if you this is something that interests you, man, this conversation was very compelling and chilling to me. If this is something you want to hear more of, please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, to the Madman Podcast. You will hear more of this. Leave a note in the comments section if you feel led to do so as well. I would love to talk to you again soon, and I'd love to interact as we build more context around what we're doing. Thank y'all. Shout out to all of my followers and my queen, Corene Gardner, most importantly. Love y'all. Talk to y'all again soon. It's your boy, your brother, Gino.